and you look at the graph that shows like the areas with the little small, tiny little arrows that have gone to the right, and how far, and everything has been a right-wing sweep. There was a sweep of the people, or there was a sweep of the looks like the House is going to be definitely the Senate. There were a bunch of leftists recalled out of California. California's gave up a bunch of...
George Gascon, the DA.
Yeah, he's gone. They gave up a bunch of counties that went right. And these people are saying, oh, well, the reason is because we didn't have enough people enough leftists, and the leftists stayed home. And what they're saying is, if you look at 2020, which was a totally novel and unique election, whether you think it was fair or not, it was unquestionably novel and unique. There was a totally new method of getting people to vote and getting ballots. And they're looking at that and they're saying, well, all those 14 million or 15 million or whatever people stayed home. And it's like, those were phantoms. Those people never voted regularly. They were never going to go to the polls. They were never going to actually get off their couch. If it was fair in 2020, and I'm only going for argument's sake, if it was fair, it was because the ballots were mailed to people's homes, they were filled out, and then someone went and picked them up. Yeah. Because the low propensity voters, the people that have no idea what they're voting for, filled out those ballots the way that they thought was the nice way to do it, and those ballots got turned in. That's the only way that it could have been.
When you look at like Pacman's Twitter account, he says Trump's final message that Pelosi's a bitch, and it's like, whatever, I get those things. I think this tweet right here is a granular example of what's wrong with the left and why they lose subscribers. RFK being in charge of all things medical is quickly becoming a major reason not to vote for Trump.
Wow.
But it's things like that. When you talk to a lot of liberals and hippy-dippy people, they're going, yeah, RFK Jr. is right. RFK Jr. had a video a month or two ago about this coal tar additive they use as yellow dye that people are eating that we know causes health problems. He talked about fluoride being in the water being a problem. David Pacman giving a knee-jerk nonsense reaction to RFK Jr. is why Democrats lose and why he loses subscribers. The response to RFK Jr. is, well, we need that message too. There are tons of hippy-dippy leftist organic farmers who are sitting there saying RFK Jr. is right about everything. And the Democrats are like, nah, you're all crazy. RFK Jr. is nuts. And you guys, we should all eat plastics and phthalates. You
want to talk about a realignment. When I was a kid, all the hippies who ate the $15 eggs and worried about pesticides, they were all on the left.
Yes.
Now they are trad moms with like 4 kids in the suburbs.
But no, it's absolutely right. It was up this year, even in the past year and a half, 2 years. People on the right have been like, when did all the hippies start getting on the right? And it happened actually during COVID is when you noticed, when it was the vaccine stuff. But people were like, when did all the hippies start saying that Trump was good? There was some people that I saw a picture of that were at a Trump rally in tie-dye shirts that had Grateful Dead type imagery, and it said Trump on it. And people were baffled. The reason is because they have always been anti-government, anti-pharma, anti-big corporation. And now the Republicans are the ones that are like, look, all the big corporations are giving to the Democrats. All the big corporations are trying to tell us what to do. All the big corporations want to get involved in what we have to take.
And who runs those corporations? Who runs the establishment?
All Democrats.
The Democrats are now the party of the government. And maybe that's been the case for a while, but it didn't seem like that was the case.
Yeah.
So now, if you're skeptical of big power, wherever it may be, let's not forget Barry Goldwater. He wrote that a conservative is one who is skeptical of all monopolies, of all hyper-concentrated power. But now all that power isn't. That's why Democrats view the Trump election as an insurrection in itself. Forget about the Capitol. Forget about January 6th. They view it as an insurrection. And in a way, it kind of is, because the Democrats dominate the government.
Well, and here's the real scandal that none of them are willing to point to. They say people no longer trust the experts in the media or in medicine or in food processing and production. But why is that?
Yeah.
We are one of the most obese we are literally the fattest country on the planet. We are the most obese nation on the planet. We are one of the sickest developed nations on the planet. Everyone on the left acknowledges that we have one of the worst healthcare systems in the world. I would temper that a little bit. They take it a bit too far, but they're correct that there are many flaws with it. But then whenever somebody who isn't a quote unquote expert, who's been trained by the same institutions that the left claims are broken and destroying our country, they go, this person isn't an expert. You can't listen to them. Well, where has listening to the experts gotten us? It's made us the most obese nation on the planet. We have food that makes us less healthy. We have a medical system that seems to want us sick. We have a media that tells us lies and misinforms people and clearly didn't have the predictive power to tell us where this election was going to go or what the American people wanted. So maybe you should try challenging the experts if you want to win, because they have been leading you in this entire country in the wrong direction for decades, and everyone knows it. And even if you plug your ears and yell at people and call them bigots for acknowledging that reality, it's still true, and everyone else sees it. So why don't you come join the party?
So I do have a correction, though. I have to correct you. We are not the fattest country in the world.
We are the most obese.
We are not. We're number 19.
We're number 19 now, if I'm not mistaken.
Who's the fattest?
There are countries more fat or the most obese.
American Samoa, Tonga, Nauru, Tokelau, Cook Islands, Niue, Tuvalu, Samoa, French Polynesia.
Wait, but hold on. You said American Samoa.
Yeah, they sound like American territories.
That count? Doesn't that count?
We're still number one, baby.
Yeah, I want to claim it. Even though it's like a little bit different, I want to claim
Number
the
one.
American Samoan.
I
fat
think
pockets.
Tonga should be number one, so that would put us at 18. You're right. America should not be on the list. But we're not. There's like Bahamas are fatter than we are.
Well, they have all that nice chicken and those little beef patties.
But if you go, my point is, if you go to other developed nations and see the food that they're eating, they eat much more than us, and they don't get as fat as us.
Yeah.
People will say this too. I went to Europe. I ate as much as I ate here. I felt better. My weight was lower. There's no question that there's a massive problem with obesity in the United States.
Michael, I wanted to follow up with you on something. So Trump and many former Trump officials.
Sorry, we are 18. You're right. Samoa is not supposed to be. They're very fat there, but Tonga is number one.
We need to claim American Tonga.
We need to get back.
That's my
we need to get back to number one.
Oh yeah, I appreciate this. I think we're heading in the right direction. But Trump and many of his officials faced what it seems like motivated attacks from the Department of Justice and others. So, for example, Trump obviously had a bunch of cases. Steve Bannon only recently got out
Peter
of jail.
Navarro.
Do you believe the Trump administration should go after Democrats who he believed broke the law, or strike a more conciliatory tone?
Well, certainly President Trump needs to enforce the law. I mean, what the problem with Peter Navarro's case or Steve Bannon's case is that they were ruptures with the American jurisprudential tradition. We generally speaking, do not imprison senior White House officials for contempt of Congress. We had never done that before. Peter Navarro was the first one. Now Steve Bannon goes to prison.
I mean, convicting a former president.
And that's an even more extreme version. So I don't encourage that. I don't think that we should be jailing former presidents. Let Hillary go run amok. She can go take out her enemies or whatever she does in her spare time. But I don't think we should be jailing former top White House officials.
Well, I think at least right now, Merrick Garland needs to go to jail. I think Trump should bring in an AG and just say this country expects accountability and equality under the law. Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon served their time for contempt of Congress. Merrick Garland would do the same.
Or Eric Holder. Eric Holder also refused a congressional subpoena.
I'm okay with... I agree with you largely that we don't want to create this precedent. I think for right now, you've got a large portion of the American people who are upset that Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon went to prison and Merrick Garland did not. And this is within the same context. This is like within a few months of each other.
But you're saying
Eric
want
Holder
to set
was
the
10
precedent.
years
They
ago.
set the precedent.
I'm saying we want to set the precedent that we have equality under the law, not one-sided. And that means we're not going to go back a decade for Eric Holder, but we are going to say, look, it was only a few months ago. Merrick Garland needs to go to prison for 4 months.
Or at least investigated and put on the trial.
No, there's no investigation. He was held in contempt of Congress. That's it. So the DOJ just now needs to say that welcome to jail. And so that should happen.
The Bannon treatment.
Well, right. And it's, look, you're going to get minimum security. It's going to be comfortable and cushy, just like Steve Bannon got. But if we don't do this, the American people will believe that even when you vote because you demand equality under the law, you don't get it. So if we're going to say, fine, Steve Bannon went to prison, we have two options. Merrick Garland goes, or Trump issues a formal pardon to Navarro and Steve Bannon, and would have to compensate them. Because just saying it shouldn't have happened isn't enough, is not equality. He should say, this is either malicious prosecution of two individuals.
Which it obviously was.
In which case, they should receive a settlement compensation from the government and an apology, or it's not malicious prosecution and Merrick Garland should be in prison. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.